Breaking news around the NFL. Robert Saleh has been fired as head coach of the New York Jets. The big question on the minds of 49er fans is, should the 49ers look to bring Robert Saleh back? That is what we're going to answer in this video. But first, let's run the intro. The New York Jets parted ways with head coach Robert Saleh. The Jets started the season 2-3. They've just come after a loss in London against the Minnesota Vikings. And when you look at the Robert Saleh era for the New York Jets, yes, it wasn't the most successful. They did try a couple of different things there. Ultimately, quarterback was a major issue, and really just the offense was a big issue. You look at it, Robert Saleh being a defensive-minded head coach, and the defense year in and year out, with little to no help from the offense, still managed to rank consistently in the top 10, in the top 5. They just could never figure out the offense. And that was really the big downfall of Robert Saleh. Clearly, the Jets had a lot of expectations this year with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. They brought in a lot of players in terms of free agency and on their offensive line. They have good players in Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. They expected a lot more, and they definitely did not expect to be 2-3 heading into a big game against the Buffalo Bills. I am a little bit surprised that they decided to part ways with him now. However, if they feel like that this just cannot work, then I guess it's better to make the move now before it's too late and the season's already a lost cause. Robert Saleh did have a pretty good record against the Buffalo Bills as the Jets head coach, so you'd think that maybe they would have given him another week. If you can get a win against the Bills, you're 3-3, the season's not over. But look, they said, we're not going to wait around, we'll make the decision. So now we move over to the 49ers, because that's what we really care about here. Now we're going to look at it from, should the 49ers bring back Robert Saleh? Then I want to look at it from, should or would Robert Saleh come back to the 49ers? So do I think the 49ers should pursue Robert Saleh? Absolutely yes. The guy has proven himself to be one of the best defensive coaches in the NFL. Once we got him some talent on defense in San Francisco, pretty much from 2019 onwards, we were really good. And he deservedly got a head coaching opportunity with the Jets, and their defenses consistently were really good. When you look at the 49ers so far this season, although the defense hasn't been terrible, it definitely hasn't been what we would have expected. And I think if you can bring in a Robert Saleh, it could potentially galvanize this defense. You have guys like Mooney Ward coming out saying, well, it just feels a bit weird, we're not making the plays that we normally do. Things like that. You know, players in the secondary aren't playing that great. We don't seem to have that same aggressiveness that the defense, what we saw when we had Robert Saleh before, and also DeMeco Ryans. And I think that's something that could really just get this defense going and playing at a much higher level. When you look at the talent on this defense, it is not lacking. You know, despite having some guys being out injured, you still look at Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Mooney Ward, Deommodore Lenoir, Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins. Like, these are very good defensive players, and they should be playing at a higher level. So what would the role be that we could potentially bring Robert Saleh in? Well, if I had to envision it, it's not going to be for a defensive coordinator position, but more like a defensive consultant, if you will. Now, it was today that Robert Saleh got fired. I'm not saying that tomorrow we're going to hire Robert Saleh. If I'm the Niners, if I'm John Lynch, I'm sure they still have a very good relationship with Saleh. Maybe you call him, maybe you send him a message, but I'm thinking you give him a few weeks, then the Niners, we have a bye week, week 9, and you think, hey, do you want to come in and be a defensive consultant for us? You're not going to have the pressures of being a defensive coordinator where if the defense doesn't step up, it's all on you, and there's no pressure like that. So I think it would be a good move for Robert Saleh to get back in, just coaching in the NFL. It's going to be a few weeks. Now, here's the thing. A report did come out from Mike Silver, who's very well regarded in NFL circles, and he's saying that Robert Saleh is basically pointing to him not coaching for the rest of the 2024 season. It's a little bit premature, I would say, even if Robert Saleh is saying that right now, which he may very well have said, to Mike Silver or whoever else that Mike Silver heard it from. But I think it's obviously incredibly fresh that he just lost his job. And I think he's going to say, yep, I need months away from it and I just need to think about it. However, I just see Robert Saleh as the guy who kind of loves football and just has to be involved in it. So maybe, yeah, he takes a few weeks off. And that's what I'm saying with the 49ers. Maybe he takes a few weeks off. And then he's like, you know what? I do want to coach. I do want to get back into the swing of things. And with the 49ers, I think a great opportunity would be, as we said, a defensive consultant where he can come in, sit in on meetings, give suggestions, maybe help with the game plan against opposing offenses, but doesn't have the pressure, doesn't have the workload of having to basically call the plays throughout the season. Here's the thing for the 49ers too, is that if you can get Robert Saleh back in the building, and if things don't work out for Nick Sorensen. Now, I do think we still need to give Sorensen some time. I'm not saying that you got to fire him right away or anything like that. But it does put some pressure on Sorensen, no doubt about it, bringing in a Robert Saleh, and you have a Brandon Staley there. But this is the NFL, and Nick Sorensen will have to either shape up or ship out. And having those guys around you to help you game plan for opposing offenses should only help Sorensen in his job and make it a little bit easier. And here's the thing with the 49ers too, is that let's say if Sorensen just can't step up to the plate, then we have a natural guy here, a Robert Saleh, who can just step in eventually, maybe next year, and become our defensive coordinator. He's very familiar with the coaching staff, with the players, with the team, with the franchise, with the area. So I think it would be a fairly seamless transition. So I think it makes a ton of sense for the 49ers to make this move. The only argument against it from a 49ers, perspective might be that potentially you could upset Nick Sorensen, where he's thinking that maybe he could be undermined by Robert Saleh. But at the end of the day, if you're coaching in the NFL and if you have the title of defensive coordinator, and if we're bringing in help to guys outside to help you, someone who really knows defense, if that's going to maybe threaten your position, then maybe you shouldn't be in that position at all. Just saying. So I do think there's a lot of positives here for a guy like Nick Sorensen and also for Robert Saleh. Now the question then is, should Robert Saleh come back to the 49ers? Well, it's really going to depend on how he's feeling mentally. Look, his head is probably going a million different ways today. There's so many things happening. He just lost his job, and it always sucks to hear that when a person who, Robert Saleh, if anything, he seems like an awesome guy, and he's really such a great defensive mind. Sucks that he lost his job. There's no question about it. But moving forward, I do think that Saleh is going to take some time away from the game. But I don't know if he's the guy, again, I don't know if he's the guy to stay away for 4 months. So if he decides maybe within the next month or so, you know what, I do want to get back into coaching this season. Maybe I don't want to do full-time where I'm a defensive coordinator or anything like that. Plus, all the defensive coordinator positions are filled right now. But you can come in, be a consultant, really with a familiar area, place that what's the harm? Even if the 49ers defense, while you're there as a consultant, doesn't, elevate and step up, you're not going to be blamed for it. And if anything, it might just give you the seamless opportunity then to be a defensive coordinator for the 2025 season with the 49ers. Again, a franchise that he knows, with a lot of good players, with the area that he knows. So I think overall it does make sense for Robert Saleh to consider a position like that with the San Francisco 49ers. But the big thing is going to be, where is he going to be at mentally? We have that report from Mike Silver that he doesn't want to coach for the rest of the season. And that may be true. And again, that's maybe what he's thinking today. But will he think that way in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time? Will he kind of get the itch to be like, no, I want to get back. I want to be in that environment again. I want to be around a team like the 49ers who I know, or maybe somewhere else. But I do think it makes so much sense to come back to San Francisco, where when you look at, the last, 7-8 years of his coaching career, it's been with the Jets and the 49ers. So why not go back to a place that you're familiar with? But, just kind of those are my thoughts on this whole Robert Saleh getting fired. You're not going to hear anything, I don't think, in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, maybe not even the next 3 weeks. But during the bye week, could we see something, a report come out, or could the 49ers really push to make a move for Robert Saleh? When you look at the 49ers, the next 3 games, you're at Seattle, then you're home against the Chiefs and the Cowboys. So Seattle, their offense has been playing quite well this season. You look at the Chiefs, we know that even with their injuries, their offense can can put up big points and score a lot of points, put up a lot of yards. Dallas, they have a formidable offense too when they're playing at their peak level, which they played pretty well against the Pittsburgh Steelers in their win. So I think that this will say a lot for Nick Sorensen over the next 3 games. What will the 49ers record be then? Will the season still be salvageable? Of course, I hope it is, and I'm not throwing in the towel on the 49ers season. I think we could maybe win 2 of the next 3. But if the 49ers can do that, if you go into the bye week at 4-4, but maybe the defense isn't playing nearly where it needs to be, I think the 49ers will push big time to make a move for Robert Saleh. The question will be, would Saleh want to actually coach this year? It's really going to be a decision that only he is going to know. And even what he says now, I think his opinion could absolutely change. Give himself a couple of weeks. Maybe he goes on a vacation with his family, does all that good stuff. But I could see his mind changing in a few weeks where maybe he wants to get back in, not jump fully back into coaching, but being around locker rooms, being in those coaching meetings, and maybe helping with game plans for opponents. And that could really help ease him back into becoming a full-time defensive coordinator, whether it's next season with the 49ers or another franchise who runs a similar defensive scheme, which we know there's a bunch of defenses around the league that run this type of scheme who would love to have a Robert Saleh. But wow, still just crazy news in the NFL. Before the season started, Robert Saleh would not have been in my top 5 coaches to be fired first. So this is a little bit surprising. It sucks to see that he lost his job. I do kind of get it from the Jets' perspective, but I would have maybe given him another week or 2 just to see. But wow, just crazy news in the NFL. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the 49ers should push to bring back Robert Saleh? Would it be a good move? Would it maybe upset the balance of the coaching staff and the locker rooms? Again, I think it'd be a great move, and I think a lot of players would be stoked to have Robert Saleh back in the locker room. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. If you do enjoy the content, you know what to do. Like the video, share it on social media, hit the notification bell too so you don't miss out on videos when they go live. Leave the comments below. I'm going to head on out, but before I go, I'm going to say 2 things, and that is the butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.